The first time I heard of Flesheater, also known as Revenge of the Living Zombies, that was the title how I first knew about Flesheater. I think it was like 18 or something. I can't remember, and it was in a horror catalog, like well, specifically a mail order horror video catalog. And so yeah, it had this listing of films, and one of the films was a film called Revenge of the Living Zombies, and it was a film that they said a zombie film that was directed by Bill Hinzman. Bill Hinzman is the world's first flesh-eating zombie, like ever, like to be shown in media. Like he is the first zombie that you see inside the opening of Night of the Living Dead, and that is a major, major achievement. Like in around the late 80s, he had went ahead and he had directed his own zombie film. So eventually I did buy Revenge of Living Zombies slash Flesh Eater, and I really, really liked it. I really, really liked it. Not everyone who watched it with me liked it, and I can understand like the initial reaction of like, yo, this film isn't very good. It is really, really, in the most endearing way possible, cheesy. Really, really cheesy. The acting is not stellar, to be kind. The writing is not. A lot of things are not. Like if you're looking for like the cream of the crop of zombie films or just cinema in general, this film isn't it. But if you're looking for a really, really just enjoyable, entertaining, so bad it's good time, this film is the film for you. I really did enjoy watching Flesh Eater, so much so I watched it, multiple times. And I talked about the film a lot too. I think the reason why I talked about it a lot to the point where maybe it came across as, a bit annoying was because, I felt somebody should champion this film because, like, this film was, like, obscure. Like, I never heard this film before. I had saw it, in a listing of, the mail order catalog. I saw it in, and I didn't see it, like, talked about in any horror magazines like Fangoria or any other type of, like, publications like in film circles on the internet. Like nobody was talking about this movie. It seemed like I and the others who watched it with me were the only people who knew about this movie, and they didn't like it. So I felt like I was the only person on earth who liked this movie, and I thought the movie deserved more, more love. Um, and this went on for quite some time. This went on like for years. It's like no one talked about Flesh Eater. Like Flesh Eater at the time didn't even have any type of official release. I mean, it did like back when it was released, but then after that, like nobody was like re-releasing it on any format. Not VHS, not DVD, like nothing. It was like radio silence for this movie, and again, I thought it deserved more attention. And then somewhere into the 2000s, can't exactly remember when, um, I found out that Flesh Eater was available on DVD, and I was really, really surprised because like I didn't think that would ever happen. And then I got excited, like, wow, this thing's on DVD, and I went ahead and bought it as soon as I could. And and I thought to myself, hey, if it got a DVD release, maybe some traction will start building on the film, on like just getting it to have like more, just being more well known, um, going from obscure to like somewhat obscure. I hoped, and so when I played the DVD movie with some of the same people who I watched it the first time around, at least one of them anyway had a change of heart. They saw what I saw in the film. They saw the the charming goofiness. Like they turned around on the movie and they actually enjoyed watching it too. So I thought, if this person, could go ahead and have a change of heart with this film, then maybe others who've seen it could have, too. And maybe this film will go ahead and, you know, finally start getting the recognition that it deserves. By the end of the 2000s, though, I was starting to hear word that when Bill Hinzman would go ahead and go to conventions, he would have, fans from time to time, talk to him about Flesheater. And I thought, yes, like it's the word is slowly starting to spread out that people are beginning to appreciate this film. Maybe not in huge numbers, but it's slowly starting to get out there. And then going into the 2010s, into 2010s, I was seeing more signs that Flesh Eater was finally starting to get some degree of love. I had noticed that Flesh Eater was streaming on platforms like Tubi. I was starting to see also reviews on Flesh Eaters on YouTube, and people talking about the film. So, I was seeing that the status of the film, had elevated from obscure to somewhat obscure to, something of a tiny, 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 maybe like cult classic, or at least, if not a cult classic, definitely have like something of a cult following. Seeing the reviews on YouTube and seeing that it was streaming, and just hearing like, just some word in the horror circles, horror film circles, that people were watching the movie. And then the biggest like piece of evidence that the film status has risen was it getting a 4K release. Like I was like shocked, and maybe I should have been so floored by that point, because like if it had a DVD release and it had a Blu-ray release, then yeah, it's not gonna be that surprising that it had a 4K release. But yeah, for some reason I still was very much surprised at a 4K release, because you have some huge, massive films, major classics that still haven't had a 4K release. Like it is sad and crazy that some of the biggest films ever, most influential films ever, have never had a 4K release. So, and this, small little film got one. It's like something of a minor miracle. But it deserves to have one, and so do so many other films deserve to have 4K releases. But yeah, and not only was it a 4K release, it was a 4K release that a lot of care went to. They remastered this print. They, remastered the sound. It is stacked with extras, new extras, or at least, at the time released new extras. And yeah, it was definitely one of the best 4Ks that, we've ever owned. And I just loved seeing it, and the film presented in such a pristine presentation, and it more than deserves it. And one of the extras, was talking about how how the film started off really, really small, how it didn't get really the release that it deserved when it was initially, put out into the world, and like how over the years it, bit by bit by bit by bit, gained a following. And Bill Hinzman would have been proud of what his film had achieved. God rest his soul, he passed away some time ago. And I wish he was still around, in earthly form, to have seen how much people love his films. But I do believe that he knows in one way or another, the what he made, and and how it is appreciated. In this world, patience isn't always rewarded. Persistence isn't always rewarded. But there are times where it is. And this film is definitely an example of that. That if you wait long enough, you will be rewarded, with welcome arms. And that if you wait long enough, that what you make, what you create, what you put out into the world will be embraced by someone, will be embraced by others.